It's going to be really exciting to see how it all plays out. I did say we were hoping to have some guests in the morning session, and we certainly have one coming to us from the Aras racing team from Switzerland. It is the talented racer Ekaterina Lusha who joins us.
Jake.
Great to see you, and this is a very different vocation from what we've come to see you in the last couple of years.
Yes, it's very different. It's my first time in a rental kart, but I love it. Like, the track is wonderful, the layouts, the people, our team, it's wonderful.
So this is very different to the karting that you're used to doing. For those who aren't aware, a couple of years ago you were actually racing in the European and World Championships, coming up the senior ranks of direct drive karting. Just tell us, how different is the professional sport of FIA karting compared to the rental world? How big a difference?
I would say the braking, the acceleration, because the kart is more slower than our cars that we used to drive. So the acceleration and the braking is really different. It's more soft than in OK Senior, for example. So you brake a little bit less and you get into the corner not as fast as in OK Senior, so you brake really earlier. So you keep the balance and you don't slip up with the kart.
The other thing that's very different from doing this sport compared to what you're used to doing is in the senior karting ranks in OK, it's all on you. It all comes down to you.
Yes.
Working within a team unit where you're just one piece of the jigsaw puzzle, that must be so different.
It's very different because everyone has to give himself like 100% there, and everyone has to be 100% focused. You have to look into the box, that you get into the right time into the box so your teammate is not going to struggle with it. So everyone is like depending on another one.
Now, the last couple of seasons you've actually moved out of the world of karting as your professional racing career develops. You've been doing GT4 and you've been doing GT3 racing and testing to build up your credence. The goal, obviously, for a driver in that is obviously to be in the ranks of the Fanatec GT3, maybe to go into Le Mans, but you're still here in the world of karting. It's still your first love. Racing drivers, they just have this affinity with their karting roots. Why is it so difficult to give up? What is it you love about it still?
Because it's part of your childhood, of your life. It's the passion that you shared so many years with anyone, and we all love karting. I think every Formula 1 driver still loves karting and loves to do it because it's pure racing. It's the first route that you get to motorsport, and I feel like it's the first thing that you do if you get into motorsport.
Now, you're well travelled, going to many different world-class circuits. Obviously, on the senior route, you were travelling across from Italy to France to Belgium to all these fantastic countries for training and for racing. This is your first time to the Campeo circuit. It's a very different challenge for you. It's a very long circuit compared to what you're used to as well. What can you tell us about it from a driver's perspective?
It's a very beautiful track, very technical. So you have long straights, and if you miss a corner, you can lose a lot in the straight compared to other drivers or to yourself. So you lose a lot of time if you do a mistake. But it's very grippy, sometimes very slippery too in the night. But at the moment I feel like the grip is getting better. You need a lot of slipstream, so you have to be in a group or something to get a really good time.
Now, I've spoken to many racing drivers who've come out of the sports car racing world or even the professional karting world and come into rental karts, and they all have the same complaint, which is disparity from one kart to another kart.
Yeah.
Now, this is a very different format where every team does not get one kart through the course of the race, they get multiple karts. From a driver's perspective, from a purist point of view, how are you finding the format? I mean, I know a lot of drivers complain to me about, well, this kart wasn't very good, this kart isn't very good. In terms of the whole pure run of the race, as a racing driver, how have you found that challenge? How have you found that dynamic of the format?
There are differences in the kart. You can see that. I've raced in some that I thought they're more fast and some are more slow. But I mean, it's getting balanced through the race because everyone is changing the kart. So I feel like it's balanced.
And in terms of how you feel when you're able to bring more out of yourself, are you learning as you drive? Are you finding you're actually bringing more out of your own ability to cope with the diversity of the machinery you've been given?
Yeah, surely, because you also have another kind of setup if the car is more slow or more fast, because you have to get better in a corner or you have to brake more in a more fast kart as the normal possibilities are.
I guess from someone like your perspective, you're a driver now who's working in the world of sports car where it is very much a team game. this is a very different element of it, but that team dynamic, that team structure where you're all depending on each other to fulfill their individual roles, it's now just become part of the dynamic of racing you're becoming part of. It's part of the jigsaw puzzle you put together.
Yes, because you're in a team, everyone is depending on each other. I mean, everyone wants to sleep a little bit, everyone wants to eat something, so you need a good strategy, you need people that are 100% passionate about it and are not like narcissistic or want to go sleep. I want to go sleep, I don't want to drive anymore. So you need those people that are kind and gentle to also sacrifice something for another driver. And it's beautiful in our team because everyone is putting 100% of their own ability into the race.
Now, we talked to you yesterday, and the start of the race was very difficult for you guys because you had the wet conditions, and with you not having a lot of knowledge of the circuit or the weather conditions, it caught a lot of teams, including yourselves, out. But the progress that you guys have started to make, the Ares Racing team, number 20, is now in 30th position, so you're way out from where you were before. Obviously, a lot of progress to make up. What has this whole procedure taught you guys about how to prepare for the race? Are you guys going to come back at this again in 2024 with a better game plan? You know exactly how to deal with those situations?
I hope so, because every year you learn something different. I mean, they learned some stuff last year and they got a lot of experience from that race, so from last year, and they could also like tell the things that they did wrong to us so we didn't do the same mistakes as they did last year. But I mean, as a team you grow, and I feel like by the time we spend time with each other, we also learn about the other people in the team, and you get to to know how the driving style of another driver is, and I feel like that's also like growing into the team that makes it more fast.
Now, you talked earlier about this interesting dynamic of coming back into the world of karting because it's part of your childhood and you love it and therefore you want to keep racing in it. It's interesting, over the last couple of years I've witnessed a few of these rental and endurance events now that tempts a lot of the racing drivers out of cars to come back into it. Last year alone I was at an event where Andrea Kimi Antonelli came and had a go at it, and he couldn't get into the top 10. It's a real test of it. As a racing driver yourself who's used to be competing at the front, is it humbling coming into it, or does it just kind of spur you on to try and find a little bit more out of yourself? It must be very difficult when you're used to being at the front of a field and you're here now trying to work it. But it's not anything you're doing wrong, it's just how open and how competitive the sport is.
No, it spurs you. I mean, you learn a lot, and as a driver you love to get more speed out of every corner, and it's a challenge, and you take that challenge and you try to do the best of it. And I feel like that's beautiful about it. So you learn and you continue learning and get the experience from the whole track and the whole system that's working at the moment.
And I guess as a racing driver who does compete in sports car racing, you can kind of send a message to your fellow drivers out there, this is worth having a look at. It really is a big test. It's a big test of you as a competitor. Also
from the hours, so you don't get a lot of sleep. The team is there, you have to be 100% focused. Because, I mean, at 3 a.m. in the morning, you're not as concentrated as, for example, 3 p.m. in noon. And I'd never done that before, so it's my first time racing in the night. But, you learn a lot of it, so it's worth it.
And I guess from your point of view, again, as an athlete trying to work up the ladder of motor racing, this is good tools for when you start thinking about things like Nürburgring, start thinking about Le Mans, start thinking about, the 24-hour races that you want to do in sports cars in the future.
Yes, 100%, you're right.
So, coming into the final 5 hours of the race, I mean, the team has obviously had different stages of emotion through the course of the race. There's been frustration, there's been some joy, there's been some excitement, there's been some eagerness. These final 4 hours, the feeling down there in the pits, there's a lot of exhaustion, there's a lot of energy that's been expended, and you have to try and build it together for the final 4 hours. What is the general feeling now with the team? They just want to get this finished, they want to move and make more progress. What's the current feeling?
Everyone wants to make more progress, any team, I feel like. We have 4 more hours to go, so our target is to get faster and make up positions as far as possible. And everyone is motivated, so everyone is awake, everyone is concentrated, everyone is getting their food, and everyone is happy. And I feel like also enjoying these last 4 hours is going to be a lot of fun to be.
And you've made the point already that this is your first time doing an event like this. I have a feeling it's probably not going to be the last.
No, I think no.
We may tempt you back for 24.
Yes.
Fantastic. Look, Ekaterina, it's great to talk with you, and I'm sure everybody's really appreciative of, being a strong woman in this category. It proves again that the gender equality is right there in an event like this, and it's great to see you pushing and trying to make as much progress as everybody else. So, and it's also great as a professional kart racer to come in and come at this particular level and be equal to everybody.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool, I must say.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Ekaterina. Enjoy the rest of the race, and we'll see you at the finish line.
You too.
Thank you.
See you.
So, fantastic